All right, Steam controller unboxing and action. What's up, guys? It's Lyoko Sector here. What's up, guys? It's Lyoko Sector here, and today we have a special little unboxing video today because, spoiler alert, thanks to my clapperboard, it's the Steam controller. Or at least it might be the Steam controller. I mean, who knows what could be inside this little package. Continue to watch the video all the way to the end and let me know if you see the Steam controller in that, or if it actually is the Steam controller. But anyways, to kind of get to the chase, so the Steam controller, Valve's newest bit of their 3-part hardware launch that launched earlier this year. Abysmally, I may add, and I'll get my thoughts on that here later in the video itself. But yeah, so when this controller first launched, I tried to get it. I was at work and I was busy working with a customer at the time. But after I got done with them, I was able to find some time afterwards to be able to go to the Steam app on my phone to try and purchase it. Absolutely abysmal launch. Servers were flooded. People couldn't check out. There were whole issues with trying to make payments or select payment or delivery options and all that kind of stuff, of which I suffered similar issues. And so essentially what happened is that I couldn't secure it. All their controllers sold out within 30 minutes. And that was that. Now, I did manage to get a Steam controller in my cart still. So even despite the fact that it sold out, I still had a Steam controller sitting in my cart. Now, for weeks on end, it wouldn't let me check it out. But I always did try to check it out just here and there, just to see, hey, maybe one day it'll actually work and I'll be able to actually get it. Valve, unfortunately, did not send me a review copy Steam controller, quite sadly. But who knows? Maybe that'll change in the future, hopefully. I could care one way or less. Just to kind of further go with my unbiasedness of the whole situation. But of course, I wouldn't, hate to have some nice exclusive access to some Valve hardware. But hopefully, Valve maybe sees this video and then they, decide that, what, I like this guy's, the cut of his jib, I like his attitude. He may not necessarily always represent us in the most positive light, but, everybody could use an unbiased perspective on things just to make things seem a little bit more balanced with their reviews and stuff. But anyways, moving on. So we're going to so it was always sitting in my cart, and every few weeks or so I would just try to check it out just to see. I had the Steam funds in my account ready to go just so I'd have the money available to buy it, and I didn't have to worry about putting in payment information for like a credit card or something like that in there. And then I honestly didn't expect to be able to order it. And then one minute I was just like, oh, well, let me see if it'll let me check it out again. And then I go through it. It lets me put my shipping info in and check out. And then it took it from my Steam wallet. And I'm like, holy shit, it let me buy it. Now, part of me was skeptical because I was like, all right, maybe I just caught it in a glitch and it's going to reject me, or I'm going to get an email that says, hey, you accidentally ordered something that we don't have in stock, so we're going to refund it to you. Sorry for the inconvenience. Fuck you. All that kind of stuff. But, surprisingly not, it didn't. But it was really weird because it was like I didn't get any kind of email notification, not even a confirmation email for my order from Valve, which I normally get after every transaction that I do. So, yeah, just really, really bizarre. And I checked up on it a couple days after I actually placed the order, and it was still just showing processing, didn't say anything else about it. So I was like, yeah, well, I'll just kind of leave that there. And then a couple days later, I get an email from UPS that's like, I get a text message from UPS that's like, hey, your package is on its way and stuff like that. And I'm like, what package? I didn't buy anything recently. I've been trying to hold off on my financial spending a little bit. And then I got an email from UPS that said, yeah, your package is scheduled for delivery. Here's your tracking number, all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of skeptical. I'm like, all right, what kind of fucking phishing scam is this thing right now. Kind of like those scams where it's like, oh, you know what, we couldn't deliver your package. Give us your credit card info to do a reship fee or whatever. But I was at work. It gets delivered while I'm at work, and I come home on my lunch break, and I'm like, all right, let's see what this is. I thought maybe it was like another collector's edition thing that I ordered last year that still hasn't arrived yet. Maybe it finally just came out, but then I got it and I was like, oh, this is pretty tiny. I have no idea what it was. I didn't even notice the Valve address on there initially. So then I opened it up and then I'm like, holy shit, it's the Steam controller. So the sons of bitches actually did it. So, yeah, I guess thank you, Valve, for allowing me to purchase the Steam controller and actually shipping it to me instead of just, rejecting me. So, I mean, I don't know if they had inventory or if there was a thing where it's like they didn't have inventory or they had very limited inventory and they're like, well, fuck, with the thing let them place the order, so might as well, let them have it. Because I had the reservation set in place for the Steam controller. So, like, I wasn't expecting to be able to purchase this one that I saved in my cart. I'm glad I kept this in my cart because I never got any notification saying, hey, your reservation is next in line, click here to place your order for your Steam controller and all that. So I may have lucked out on this one. Hopefully Valve can, meet the demand and get more controllers available, but we'll just kind of have to see how things go. So anyways, so I'm going to give you a nice little unboxing tour and not gonna really test or use the controller I'm not going to use the controller in this video. I'm just like my other unboxing videos. I'm just kind of going to go through the initial packaging with everything. But if you guys are interested in something like that, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Like you're my boss and you're telling me what to do. But anyways, so you can see this packaging here. I gotta give Valve a little bit of credit because I mean the fact that just right in this packaging is just like the actual box of the controller, so it's like pretty compact. So I'll give them credit for that, for keeping their shipping boxes pretty closed. But yeah, so I'll kind of position it here since you got the camera right here. So you just cut the little tapes on the bottom here, and then it just opens up like so, right down there. And then I like this little drawbridge door that kind of happens with that. Again, I mean all fits in this box right here. So I mean, kudos to Valve for keeping their stuff compact and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, pretty nice, cool packaging. We'll set that to the side, and then we have our wonderful Steam controller. Get it up to the camera right there, Steam controller. The controller of Steam. We can control our Steam, guys. Yeah, pretty nice little designs on the boxes and all that kind of stuff. Your games, Steam controller at your fingertip. Oh, sorry. Your games at your fingertips. Was jokes about Gots? I have no idea what that even is. Probably says the same thing, just in a different language. But yeah, and you can see included in our box is our controller, charging cable, and our controller puck, our Bluetooth puck, which will be pretty interesting. Wirelessly charges it, but then also has the radio antenna in it for the Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. Warning, read the enclosed health and safety information. Also found at https://s.team/controller before use. You guys see that? That might be a little that web link right there. That might have been a mistype there, or maybe it wasn't. Interesting. Warning: cancer and reproductive harm. Oh, geez. Well, guess I'm not having any kids, guys. It was nice knowing you. The Williams family bloodline dies with me, I suppose. But yeah, so, well, let's get right into it, shall we? I'm gonna get this little perforation folded up, and then we'll get a little nice ASMR action here. Oh, You always love to pull those little tabs in your boxes. All right, let's open her up, shall we? Oh wow, that's some nice little packaging in there. Ooh, it's like an actual like kind of like a laminated cardboard almost. It's kind of nice. Well, here it is, guys, the Steam controller. Finally, after this being announced all the way back in like October, November, Valve finally comes out with one of their 3 products. Oh, there's actually a good little bit of dust in here on that, but that's okay. Okay, so we got our Steam controller right here. We've got our little wireless puck charging dongle here, and I got the little Valve logo on the back of that. Pretty cool. And then nothing underneath. I thought the cable was going to be underneath here. That's a pretty interesting way to do their little cardboard prints. All right, hold on. I got to make sure this all stays nice for preservation's sake. And so, aha, look at that. It's like a little trap door. And then here, oh look, here's the little safety manual. Fantastic. Oh, look, and a little instruction guide up there too. So, pretty cool. Steam controller, user guide, pretty generic stuff. Has all the instructions in the different languages and the health and safety stuff in there, which is pretty cool. We got the Steam controller puck. That interesting that they didn't do like a little Steam machine picture there for the PC. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, look, it says it's got the little cable picture right there, so it's kind of letting us know it was back here. Okay, that's cool. Very interesting, intuitive little packaging. Feels pretty good. Okay, we got our charging cable in here. Just gonna ever so gently slide this out because I like to preserve the packaging of all my stuff. We'll put that back in there where the cable was at. And here's our USB-A to USB-C cable for our dongle, so pretty standard kind of stuff there. Interesting that it's USB Type A, but I suppose more PCs would probably have access to that, and that's probably all the stuff that they need for that. Alrighty, so now we have our Steam controller, our cable, and our puck. So I suppose I'll kind of end the video here and kind of go through the initial setup. I don't even know if I have a game to be able to try this on. I mean, I guess I could do any game that I wanted, and that's kind of one of the nice things about the Steam controller ecosystem, I guess, whatever you want to call it, where it's like, you know, like community people can upload their control schemes for any game that has support for the Steam controller. So we got our little thumbsticks right here. These are Holoflex thumbsticks, or no, they're like electric. They're called electromagneto thumbsticks or whatever, which is supposed to like never get stick drift ever. So really nice, high quality there. We got our 2 trackpads on here, so very similar to the Steam Deck. So we can get precise mouse movements with these. Got our Steam button. We got our Steam controller button, I think, for like if you're using it with like a Steam machine or a Steam Deck. D-pad, pretty basic. A, B, X, Y buttons. Some kind of tab buttons here and stuff like that. We got our left and right bumpers, top bumpers. We also got our programmable buttons down here, L1, R4, L4, R5, L5. So overall, the plastic, yeah, it feels pretty much like a plastic controller. Some people were saying it feels kind of cheap. I mean, for this one, I mean, it feels fine. Maybe there's like a teeny little bit of like, not like a roughness to it. It feels like very fine sandpaper almost. But like, not actual sandpaper, but if you've ever messed around with like really fine sandpaper, it kind of feels like that a little bit. So, but it's not anything that I feel like it would actually like sand your fingers or anything like that. But that's like the best feeling that I could like describe for it, because it does feel like there's a lot of tiny little grooves there for that one. Trackpads feel really nice. I don't know what else to review with this. I'm not really a controller review expert guy. Just kind of thought I'd share my unboxing experience with you with it. Here is something that I was always curious / worried about, because they in the trailers and all that kind of stuff, they show this little little wireless dongle, and it just snaps to the back of the controller like this. But I don't know what it was in like the promotional animations and all that kind of stuff. It always looked like the controller was always like slightly to the right, and it wasn't centered. I can happily say that it is centered, which I'm like, why would it be just like slightly to the right? That kind of be annoying to my OCD a little bit, but it's not, so it looks pretty good. So I guess I can just plug this in right here and get her powered on, get her charging up. All right, plugging it in, getting some power. All right, well, that is the Steam controller, guys. I'm going to just kind of keep this video as short and sweet as I can normally compared to my other videos. So, yeah, if you guys like this little Steam controller unboxing video, be sure to, do all the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, or don't. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to use reverse psychology and tell you you can do whatever you want. That's going to trick you into thinking that you don't want to do what you want. And so then you're going to subscribe to me, which is what I wanted you to do in the first place, because all the help that I can get from my YouTube channel obviously helps me out. But yeah, I appreciate you guys' time joining with me. Well, I guess I don't have to end the video right now. But still, like, comment, and subscribe if you share me your thoughts on the Steam controller. Did you manage to sneak it in like I did? Did you get it at the launch? Because apparently, I'll talk about that here in a second. But apparently, some people managed to get it at launch. A lot of scalpers did, unfortunately, jacking up the price an extra $100 or so, asking $2 for these bad boys, which is unfortunate. And then. But yeah, did you get a Steam controller? Did you not? Let me know what your thoughts down in the comments below. So yeah, I guess I'll go on my tirade about Steam and the Steam hardware now while I'm in this. I guess I could always split the video up in another segment and do a completely other one for that. So I guess I'll knock 2 birds out with 1 stone in this recording. All right, so I guess we can just go ahead and fix my camera angle here. So let me go grab a drink. All right. Have a seat. Have a seat. Such a pleasure for you to join me today. I'm sorry that I couldn't come within such short notice, but I'm sure you understand, son. Hope you don't mind if I have a drink. It's been a long, long day for me. Cheers, my friend. All right, so the Steam controller launch and my subsequent fears for the Steam hardware launch. Where do I begin with this? Well, I guess we'll just kind of go back a little bit and start at the beginning. So around October, November or so, Steam announced new hardware for the first time in like a decade or so. Their last Steam machine and Steam controllers were not very successful. The Steam controller was very unique in that it had like 2 little like touchpad things that like completely replaced the D-pads and stuff like that, which not a lot of people enjoyed too much. And then the Steam machines, the original Steam machines, were custom made like Alienware PCs. So they weren't even made directly by Valve. They were more like partnered by Valve with a Alienware and stuff like that. But they were super expensive, not really that great. And the Steam ecosystem in general just wasn't really designed or built around for either of them. So those didn't see much success, and they obviously didn't stick around for much longer. But then Now I get a hardware announcement last year, back in October and November, that they're coming out with new hardware, a new Steam controller, a new Steam machine, and the Steam Frame, which is their newest version of the VR headset, the successor to the Valve Index, which I personally have had one of those myself. And it was all great. Steam had already done some new hardware with the Steam Deck, probably the most successful gaming handheld, in my personal opinion. Really great piece of hardware, especially for the price back in the day. Not so much nowadays. They jacked up the price, I believe, by like $300 a piece or whatever. And they only don't make the LCD version anymore. They only make the OLED version now too. So it's like 700 some and 900 some for like the 512 and 1 terabyte options, respectively. And they sold out again, so I don't even think you can get another one right now, even if you wanted to pay that exorbitant amount of money. Just thank our wonderful AI data center overlords and the, RAM manufacturers who refuse to build more infrastructure. But anyways, so we had the Steam Deck, which was a great success for Valve, and it was the first time they did hardware ever since the Steam Machine and the Steam Frame failed. And they built this wonderful new operating system called SteamOS, which is basically a gaming-focused operating system that doesn't give you any bloat or bullshit or nothing. Completely syncs with your Steam library and runs your Steam games, and is a lot more better performing than even Windows PCs for video games. Which is really fascinating to me that Valve managed to actually figure out a way to make games run better on SteamOS and the Steam Deck rather than on actual Windows. Is pretty crazy if you think about it. And it's not even... The games aren't even made for SteamOS specifically. SteamOS uses a compatibility layer that just translates Windows operating system executable files and data and converts it to be able to run with SteamOS, which is a Linux-based operating system, which is just another crazy, mind-blowing thing. So they somehow managed to make it so that it could translate and run Windows games on Linux, but then also made it even more efficient than Linux, or than Windows for that one, which is crazy. So everybody loved that. And then they announced this new set of hardware, Steam controller, Steam Frame, Steam Machine, and just blew everybody away. Everybody was so excited. They couldn't wait to get the new hardware. But right around when they announced this, AI started booming and these data centers started booming. And then all of a sudden, all the RAM that Steam would have needed for all of this hardware suddenly isn't available. It's reserved and being made solely for the AI data centers and the big corporate sectors and all that. And now Steam, who is planning to launch this new hardware, doesn't have the hardware to be able to make and launch it. So we sat around for months and months, not hearing anything. People were saying it's delayed, blah, blah, blah. Some people saying it's not delayed. I was one of the guys who said it's not delayed. And I guess technically, as long as it launches before the end of June, without going into July, I mean, I guess they still technically made it. But I guess they said also that it could technically just launch within this year. So maybe it did get delayed. You know what? I won't be a hypocrite. I'll admit my own copium and failures and all that kind of stuff. I thought Valve would have been able to manage to figure something out to kind of keep things on schedule, but I guess they couldn't. Maybe that kind of goes back to the Steam Deck when they were saying about the pricing point of that. The reason why it was so affordable was because it was really hard for them to kind of get it to that price, so they probably sacrificed some stuff for it. But anyways, that's my biggest fear now. My biggest fear is that it's going to come out sometime in June right now, and I'm not going to have the money to be able to get both of them, because I would love to get both the Steam Machine and the Steam Frame. Because I sold my Valve Index to save up money for the Steam Frame, and it turns out that it's probably going to be even more expensive than I already anticipated saving for it. So now I got to save even more. So I'm kind of in this pretty weird spot right now with my finances, where it's like, if we hear something, I mean, even if pre-orders went live and stuff like that, like I might not even have the money to be able to purchase both of them, especially after seeing the Steam Deck price hikes where they go up by like $300 some and all that a piece, which you could argue is a good bit higher. My hope is that Valve rose the price of the Steam Deck hardware specifically as like a counter. The reason why they raised it so high is to be more like a counterweight to the expenses of the Steam Machine and Steam Frame, but we don't know. And I mean, we ran out of Steam controllers at the beginning of the launch within like 30 minutes. So even though the Steam controller doesn't have any RAM in it, they don't have the inventory to supply that either. So it's just a wonderful mess of a world that we live in, of AI data centers and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's just the times that we live in and stuff like that. So, well, anyways, Valve is slowly but surely getting ready to launch the Steam Machine and the Steam Frame. And I'm worried both about having the money for it, but then I'm also worried about how the launch is going to go for either of those, right? So I guess I'll ramble on about the Steam controller launch for a little bit. So, like I said, Steam controller launched, sold out within 30 minutes. Like that, I'm not mad about. Like stuff launches or pre-orders go live and they sell out and all that kind of stuff. Like it happens. If you're not quick enough on the draw, then you snooze, you lose, right? But my problem that I had with the Steam controller launch is a number of factor of things that we found out later on after the fact, right? So first up off, Valve servers were not built to handle the traffic for this controller launch. So the website was functioning to an extent, but like people were having trouble checking out Steam controllers. People were getting stuck right at like the point of like it putting in their payment information or choosing their shipping address and all that kind of stuff. And it just would not let them check it out. Now, in hindsight, from what we have heard, if you had just been stubborn about it and just kept clicking, continue in that page, if you were lucky, you would have been able to get through and be able to check it out. I was unfortunately not one of those people, right? And granted, I wasn't there right when it went live, right? But I still had like a good 10, 15 minutes or so that I was trying to check this thing out and couldn't because the page just wouldn't load. It would give me an error. And I kept trying, and then it was sold out, right? So I was probably like 15 minutes from the 30-minute mark from when it went live. So, which again, I have no problem with it. I was a little late. I was at work at the time, and I was busy working with a customer and all that kind of stuff. But that already kind of rubs it the wrong way because it's like, hey, I made it within the time that stuff was available, so why wasn't I allowed to check one out? Apparently, we found out a couple other things about it. So, for some reason, and I don't know how Valve managed to not think like thoroughly about this launch, or they severely underestimated how much they were going to sell or whatever, but like so not only did it sell out within 30 minutes and people were having trouble checking them out in the first place, even if they made it there within that time frame on time, apparently you could purchase 2 Steam controllers per transaction. So people were allowed to buy 2 Steam controllers at once, right? Which I already have issues with already. Some people want to argue, oh, well, maybe they want to get one for their family member or they have multiple people in their household or blah, blah, blah. If multiple people in the household want a Steam controller, they can buy them on their own individual Steam accounts, in my opinion. Especially when you're dealing with limited inventory that you risk selling out of almost instantly at the launch of your product. So that was another thing that I took huge issues with. The fact that they would even allow people to purchase multiple Steam controllers at once. How they did not, because like if you enable people to buy 2 controllers at once, you're essentially having your inventory at that point, because it's a possibility when you have that be allowed that one person could always buy 2 controllers, and so your available amount of Steam controllers has instantly been halved due to the possibility that everybody who orders one might order 2, right? On top of that, not only could you buy 2 controllers in one transaction, but there was no limit to the number of transactions for the Steam controller that you could have. So somebody, especially a scalper, could buy 2 controllers in one transaction, then they could buy 2 more controllers in another transaction, and then 2 more controllers in another transaction. It absolutely baffles me that there was never a restriction put in place for the Steam controller, even if you wanted to release, let people buy 2 controllers in the same transaction. The fact that you didn't anticipate putting or think about putting a block to prevent people from doing that over and over and over again, it just astounds me and it baffles me, and I don't know how Valve in their infinite wisdom could have fumbled the ball on that so hard. So not only did you have a lot of people flooding the servers, so not everybody could check their stuff out properly, you allowed everybody to buy 2 controllers at once, and then you also allowed them to buy 2 controllers at once as many times as they wanted. It's no wonder the Steam controller sold out within 30 minutes. And it just seems like an undersight that just should not have happened. Now, after they sold out of Steam controllers, after the initial launch and they sold out, Valve came back and said, okay, now we're going to do a reservation system, right? So we'll let you know sometime down the road when reservations will become available for the Steam controller. And you click reserve, and it's like, that's your place in live. It's first come, first serve. And if you purchased a Steam controller already during the launch, you can't reserve to get another one. And it's only limited to 1 controller per account. So, which, again, that should have been the standard in the beginning, in my opinion. I've dealt with pre-order launches for tons of stuff. Like, we know that this stuff happens already, that servers get flooded, that hardware sells out quickly, that scalpers try to buy every little piece that they can so they can mark up the price and sell them on eBay or whatever at a markup, a huge markup. So the fact that they didn't anticipate that or didn't think it would be a problem astounds me. Yeah, so... And again, I don't even know if the reservation system is working properly. I still had... This controller was the one that I had in my cart during the launch when I tried to check it out and couldn't. And then they sold out, right? And I tried a couple times every 2 weeks or so, still wouldn't let me check it out, and then just all of a sudden, magically, it checked it out, and it actually let me purchase it, and they sent it to me. No email notifications or nothing about it. I never got an email notification from Valve saying, hey, your reservation spot is up. Click here to purchase your Steam controller and all that kind of stuff. Nothing. I still haven't heard anything about that. So, like, I don't even know if people who have a controller reserved right now are even getting notified that they have it available to purchase. It's, like, ridiculous. Now, I do want to clarify here that my complaints that I'm saying here, this is nothing personal against any staff members at Valve, right? I always like to think about Gordon Ramsay's phrasing from Hell's Kitchen where he's like, it's not personal, it's professional, right? So I'm not personally attacking or going after any of the Valve employees specifically. I'm just saying, like, Valve as a company in general, for their complete lack of clairvoyance or undersight or wherewithal on, like, the best way to execute this launch. And so, given that we dealt with all of that, I am very nervous about the launch of the Steam machine and the Steam frame. Because if they messed up the Steam controller launch, it's always possible they could mess up the launch of both of those devices again. Now, maybe they'll fix the issues. Maybe they'll beef up their servers before the launch, because now they know that a lot of people want their hardware, even if it's just hardware as simple as a controller. You know, they sold out pretty quick, so maybe they do want it. But maybe they won't. I heard someone say along the lines of, or they were interviewing some staff members at Valve, and they were talking about the abysmal launch of the Steam controller, and one of them might have said something along the lines of like, oh, well, we're a small company, we don't have the infrastructure necessary to kind of like keep this stuff up. And it's like, Valve is the most profitable company like in existence. Like per capita for like their employee or whatever, like they make the most money per employee out of any company. And there's no question about that. So it's like, and they make so much money from their video game sales that I don't think Valve gets the excuse that they're a small company. I feel like if they're going to invest in launching hardware, then they should pay the premium to make sure it's as smooth as experience for the customer as possible. I don't believe that it's a very good excuse for them to just say, "Oh, well, we're just a small company." Just a small company that makes the most money than any other company in the entire world per employee and stuff like that. So, and again, this is nothing against Valve employees personally, but I think they need to understand the demand for their hardware is a lot more than they anticipate, and they need to prepare for their hardware launches accordingly to that. Otherwise, it's going to be a very negative experience for your customers, your loyal customers. I've been an avid user of Steam. I had a Steam Deck way back in the day. Didn't use it personally, so I sold it. Wonderful piece of hardware. I enjoyed my time with it. Just wasn't kind of the thing for me. My handheld, personally, I have a Switch 2. No offense, Valve. Anyways. But wonderful piece of hardware. Steam controller, Steam Machine, and Steam Frame looks like it's going to be amazing hardware. But Valve has to execute it properly. And I hope the reason why they're taking their time, and we haven't heard any news since, is because they are beefing up their infrastructure and their manufacturing to be able to meet the demand for these products. Because I guarantee you, even despite those preparations, if they choose to do them, will not be enough for this hardware. And I think they undersell themselves a lot. I think they should dig into their capital a little bit more, their saved up capital, their profit margins. I don't know how Valve handles their finances. They're a private company and all that. But I bet you they got a vault somewhere where all of their income goes or whatever. I feel like they need to go all out and spend a ton of money on that kind of stuff. They can afford it. They could probably make it back within a short period of time just by doing another Steam sale or something like that. But they really need to address the issues that they encountered with the Steam controller launch, and they need to make sure that they have the hardware, the supply, and the infrastructure necessary to handle the Steam Machine and Steam Frame launch. Because if you thought this controller launch was bad, for like demand customer wise, you ain't seen nothing yet with the Steam Machine and Steam Frame. So I hope that they take away some lessons from this and that they strive to improve themselves. And I hope that they dig into their pockets a little bit and put some good money up front to ensure that things go smoothly for the launch of the rest of their hardware. But yeah, I don't do interviews or anything like that. But, I mean, maybe I would be willing to get into that kind of stuff. So, I mean, if by chance a Valve employee happens to watch this video, hello, my name is the Oko Sector, small-time YouTuber. Only got a handful of subscribers. But I would be curious to have a video or an audio discussion with you guys to just kind of get your thought processes on everything. And, yeah, that's about it. So hopefully they can do a little bit better for the launch. And again, this is not personal to Valve or any of the employees there or Gabe Newell or whoever. But this is just my constructive criticism that I'm presenting to you and an expression of my own frustrations when it comes to trying to purchase your hardware. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, you already know what to do. And yeah, this is the Oko Sector. I'll see you guys later, all right? See ya.